Finally here. This is the ODIN Pro. So the reason why I got this was because I have a huge ROM library, and the ODIN Pro is capable of emulating games from Game Boy Color all the way up into PS2, as well as playing Android games. It's also very versatile, so you can use this as a way of streaming games from your PC, or maybe playing something like Google Stadia. Upon initial boot up, give it a quick test. Alrighty, so this is the ODIN launcher. So you essentially can add whatever apps that you want to it. The cool thing is that you have access to the Google Play Store, so thousands of apps that you can use for that. Mainly I'm going to use this for emulation, so I already have PSP, PS2, 3DS, RetroArch. So this is a sort of an app where you can add a bunch of different emulators to it. This is SNES, Dreamcast, GameCube, and I have Grand Theft Auto San Andreas that I bought from the Google Play Store. So let's launch PSP real quick. So the first game that I told myself that I would play is called Final Fantasy Crisis Core. But there's also like different games that you can play. These are all the games that I have on it. But we'll launch Crisis Core real quick just so you can kind of see. I can continue from a load state, so that's a cool thing. You can kind of load in whenever you want. You can click the right trigger to fast forward it if you map the button to it. And yeah, let's fast forward some of this gameplay until I have to fight someone. Oops. I'm getting owned. This is the size of the screen comparisons between the Nintendo Switch OLED and the ODIN Pro. Granted, the ODIN also comes in three variants: the ODIN Pro, the ODIN Base, and the ODIN Lite. And I think they're all the same size, they just have different specs. So if I slide to the side, you can kind of see they have a little FPS counter here. Kind of shows you the performance. So right now it's running at full speed, and I have it at 3x resolution, so 3 times the native resolution of the original PlayStation Portable. You still kind of you see a little bit of stuttering here and there, but it's not really enough to bother you during gameplay at all. Now, I didn't just get the ODIN Pro bare bones, I got pretty much everything that they offer on the site. So this little clear case that they have, I got the ODIN dock, which is probably the thing I'm most excited about, because what it does have is it has native ports for N64 controllers, as well as GameCube controllers. It has like kind of like a port where you can put in an extra hard drive in the back. I don't even really know how to utilize that, to be honest. I've seen crazy configurations where people have 2 N64 controllers, 2 GameCube controllers, a keyboard, and multiple hard drives. So I guess you can really have fun with it, and it comes with a, you have to order this on the side, but it just comes with like a bare bones case. Oops. It just comes with like a bare bones case. Almost looks like a Nintendo Switch case that you can just fit into. And yeah, it's very portable. Wouldn't say it's pocketable, but you can fit it, put it in your bag wherever, etc. In terms of the case, I wouldn't say it's the highest quality, but definitely gets the job done. I already put a screen protector on this as well. You would have to order this as well. But yeah, doesn't look the greatest, but I mean offers like a bit of protection, doesn't really get in the way of any of the buttons. These little thumbsticks, I had them from before. They're kind of like Nintendo Switch style, but they fit on these just fine. And you notice how the buttons are also Nintendo Switch style, but there's settings that you can tune to make it like an Xbox style. So like the A would be down here, the B would be over here, the X would be over here, and the Y would be over there. This is your start and select buttons, and these are your D-pad. So as I unbox the dock for the first time, this is what the dock looks like. So I believe these are for the GameCube controllers, and these are for the N64 controllers. Yep, and the back they have the Ethernet ports, some USB ports, and an HDMI port. This is kind of like a way to protect the screen. I don't think I should slide this in with the, yeah, it wouldn't fit with the case, but if I took it off, anyways, it would fit. Right in the back here, there's a couple of screws that you'd have to screw, but this is where you can put a 2.5-inch hard drive, I guess, to expand whatever storage. And this isn't just a gaming device, like this is an Android-based device, so let's say if you were to dock it to a TV, you could probably use it to watch Netflix, Disney+, YouTube. This is a very multifunctional device. I've seen people also be able to put Windows 11 on this, which extends the usage further, but in terms of, you know, these handhelds, sometimes Windows isn't the greatest in terms of the touch functionality and stuff. Sometimes it's better just to use the launcher that it came with. Alright, just to look a bit of the software side of things, whenever you click on any of the analog sticks, it brings up the menus. So there's different modes that you can set in terms of performance. And let's say if I were to set it to performance high, you can kind of hear the fan kicking on, right? So I guess this is if you need a little bit more juice for your games. This has like pretty good cooling, right? So this chip, usually it's not the most powerful chip, but because of the cooling, it's able to kind of overclock itself a little bit higher. In terms of systems apps, so you have all your basic apps. It has a web browser, so you can browse the web if you want, etc., etc. If you go to the right side, there's more settings that you can use. Brightness. This comes equipped with a headphone jack as well as Bluetooth. Right, has Wi-Fi built in as well. If you dock this to a TV, I believe you can set it to 4K. So now there's games that you could probably run like SNES, Game Boy Advance, any of like the lower end stuff. I'm sure would run on 4K just fine. I'm not sure about like GameCube and PS2. Definitely not PS2, most likely, but they might surprise me. If we go to the ODIN settings down here, you can enable some of the LED lights that we have going on. So if you notice right here, we got a joystick LED, we got some side LEDs, so it kind of adds a little bit more of flavor to the device. I don't know how it does for battery life, but I know the battery life is really good on the ODIN. I just don't know how the LEDs affect it. Yeah, so as I was saying, you can swap between the traditional kind of Nintendo style or Xbox. So if I switched it to Xbox, then now the A and B are swapped and the X and Y are swapped. When it comes to the top ports, there is a slot where you can put in a micro SD card slot, as well as a mini HDMI. So let's say if you don't end up buying the dock, you can just plug this into a TV regardless, and maybe use like an Xbox controller and connect it via Bluetooth, or maybe even PlayStation, and then you can kind of use it as like a TV console as well. And there's a volume rocker up here, as well as the button, power button, as well as another grill for the fans, kind of where like the Nintendo Switch fans would be. In terms of like the triggers, they are analog style triggers, so you notice with the Switch Joy-Cons they're more like clicky, whereas I think like if you were to play racing games with these, they can actually conform to the different movements of the car. Yeah, and that's just an early preview of the ODIN. Granted, I'm still putting all my games on here, so in terms of the games that I will be playing, it will be ranging from SNES, Game Boy Advance, GameCube, PS2, just hundreds of games, and it's really endless, right? Because you can just add whatever games you want. And yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this device. So stay tuned. I'll probably have more just on games that I'll be demonstrating on what it can do, and we'll go from there.